And welcome to the Hot Lap, to our last race review, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix 2023. One way or another, are you happy? Are you sad that the season is over? I think if you're a Max fan, you might be sad. Long may continue. That domination, a fan of everyone else, you may well be happy. The domination has stopped, been put on pause for now. At the time of recording, we're only 97 days away from the next F1 race. So let's get into our winners and losers first of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix before we get into any of the main topics. So, hello. Hey, we're at our winners and losers page. What can be said? Verstappen wins. He did a really good job in qualifying. He won the race. He was a bit under pressure. He soaked up that pressure from Leclerc and continued. Well done, Max Verstappen. Basically, well done for the whole year. Probably, arguably, I don't think, can you even say arguably, the best driver of the year by far. Best car driver combination, bar none this year. Nothing came close, not even our loser of the race. Yes, Sergio Perez, banging wheels with Lando Norris. We'll get into that in a bit. Slightly controversial for some. Controversial penalty, potentially, as well, but it all started with that bad qualifying, and then he came through the race. He was okay. Once again, best car, not good enough. And someone was saying, although we're keeping that eye on qualifying, his average qualifying pace for the last few races or the last half of the season, I don't quote me on it exactly, but it's been about 10th, which has been absolutely ridiculous. So could have been on the podium again. He wasn't. Special mention, although he's not a winner, to George Russell getting on that podium. A last good couple of laps after Perez passes him, but Perez obviously had that 5-second penalty. But I'd like to say the man that finished 8th, the man that qualified really well, Yuki Tsunoda, he led the Grand Prix, absolutely fantastic, and led the Grand Prix for quite a few laps in the end as well, doing Franz Tost, it's his last race, proud. Doing the AlphaTauri, proud. That's the last time we'll probably see the AlphaTauri name in Formula 1. And as we know, in 2024, they're going to be called something different. But massive congratulations to Yuki Tsunoda. Well done. That's our winners and losers. So let's get into this whole Norris versus Perez debate, shall we? Let's put the volume down here. So, ironically, Lewis Classic F1. Yes, they've obviously taken a clip from the F1. So as we can see here, this is going into that chicane on that first DRS straight. Norris is turning in. And from this point of view, it doesn't look too bad. But there you go, look. He just banged his wheels and then Norris goes off. It's like, Norris is not there. Here you see it a lot more now. So Norris is braking. He's given him space. Perez, he's missed the apex. I mean, you've got all that space on the other side. And he's not, at this point, his car's straight. At this point, his car is heading off the track. Giving Norris no space at all. Very similar. I mean, Max Verstappen did it. An extreme. He did it extreme at the first corner in Las Vegas, for example. But as you can see here, he's not really turning the wheel. He may be understeering a bit, but still. And look, even there, look, when Norris turns into the corner, Sergio Perez, at this point, has hardly made his car at the very least, he's hardly made any attempt to actually turn. Oh, thank you very much. And they're both complaining about hitting me. Sergio Perez, I know Martin Brundle disagreed. Hey, I'm not a racer, what do I know? But if this was the sim racing steward, he would very much be guilty with Sergio Perez, I think, absolutely. And then obviously Sergio Perez passes him next time around. So interesting though, Sergio Perez is, let's just say it best, a little bit upset, and he's labelled the stewards a joke. And this is on racefans.net. Perez summoned to the stewards after calling them a joke on his radio after the penalty. Now, he's been summoned to the stewards regarding the comments he made on the radio after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, it says, racefans.net. Now, the Red Bull driver, as we know, if you watch the race, was deeply unhappy for colliding with for his penalty for colliding with Lando Norris. He was given a 5-second penalty and 2 endorsement points on his licence after tangling with the McLaren. The stewards held, though, that Perez responded to the collision, coming into turn 6, notwithstanding that car 11 was alongside car 4. The car of number 11 dived in late, missed the apex and understeered towards the outside of the corner, colliding with car 4. So it was Perez's was the one that could have all been avoided. Now, as we know, his penalty points mean he is now on a total of 7 for the current 12-month period, and as we know, any driver that has 12 will receive a 1-race ban. After crossing the line in second place, he was told by the engineer Hugo Bird his penalty left him in 4th place. Leclerc let him through because Ferrari were trying to seal that second place in the championship, which ultimately they didn't do, but we'll get into that in the race results. So Perez has said, "The stewards are a joke, man. I cannot believe it. They have been very bad this year, but this is a joke. That was really a joke." I agree with you. Yes, the stewards are a joke sometimes. They're inconsistent. Absolutely. I don't think that penalty was a joke. He said, "I don't know what they're looking at," and Bird agreed. Red Bull told team principal Christian Horner, "You don't deserve a penalty for that. If anything, it looked like a racing incident." Now, following the race, the stewards announced that Perez had been summoned for a breach of Article 12.2.1 of the International Sporting Code, any misconduct towards members of the staff and the FIA. We don't know what penalty. I doubt he'll just probably get a fine or maybe like a slap on the wrist. It's not the end of the world for Sergio Perez. I think Sebastian Vettel as well, or Max Verstappen, did something quite similar about labelling them a joke towards the end of the race and got like a fine. Yeah, but to be fair, if that's what he says, I think it was a just penalty. What I don't think though was he didn't say anything rude. Yes, he did label them a joke. And I don't. Should you be criticising drivers for saying their mind, saying how they feel? After all, this is the sport. It was said in the heat of the moment. I don't think he should be summoned to the race stewards whatsoever. I mean, Max Verstappen has said a lot worse. Look at all the things he said towards the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and he's been applauded for that for some people, saying, yeah, this is what a lot of F1 fans truly think as well. Forget the irony or the hypocrisy at the end when he won the race. But Verstappen was, just saying what he felt, and I thought that was really good. Whether you agree with him or not, that was really, really refreshing in this era of PR, marketing. You don't want to offend anyone. Brilliant. And the same with Perez. I agreed with the penalty. I vehemently disagree with the fact that he should be summoned to the stewards. Yeah, I think that's kind of grossly unfair there. So pit stop shenanigans. Yeah, we had these weird potential penalties in the race. The unusual pit lane rule that has half the grid in trouble. This is from planetf1.com by Sam Cooper. Half the grid, it says, are being investigated after unusual rule was brought into question during the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Hamilton was the first to be picked on the rule, shortly followed by Pierre Gasly, but it was initially not clear what the driver had done, and it was up to Ted Kravitz to investigate. But a few moments later, the FIA revealed it was to do with the pit crew members potentially not wearing required eye protection during a stop. The rule is, are you ready? 34.13 of the sporting regulations, and that states, I know you want to hear it, team personnel are only allowed in the pit lane immediately before they are required to work on a car and must withdraw as soon as the work is complete. All team personnel carrying out any work on a car in the pit lane when the car is in its pit stop position during the qualifying session, the sprint shootout, the sprint session, or during a race pit stop must be wearing helmets which meet or exceed the requirements. And that's ECE 22.04. European Motorcycle Road Helmet, that's a USA. It's basically like a class of motorcycle helmet. I think they're just going to get a fine, if I'm really honest. Don't really think it's going to be the end of the world. But there we go. It's just interesting. It's noted no one's going to get a fine. No race result, I think, from here. After that Perez penalty is going to get changed on this basis. Unless anything else happens, I don't think it will. So, let's get into those results. Verstappen, surprise, surprise, he won. Leclerc finished second, although he did let that 17.9 would have been a tiny bit smaller because he let Perez through, knowing that Perez had a penalty, and he then he didn't slow down. He didn't try and slow down Russell, but he knew that if Russell finished third at the time, it basically would have been Ferrari losing in the championship, in the Constructors' Championship, to Mercedes by a few points, which they did. Congratulations to Mercedes. You did finish second. Russell obviously finishing third. Fantastic. Well done for Russell. Another podium, because he hasn't had he hasn't had many podiums this year. Perez, wow, in fourth. Oh, Perez. Norris in fifth. Not too bad, I guess, if it was the race after Bahrain. Kind of disappointing for McLaren. Their race pace looked really good. Norris's qualifying pace looked good. Where was that in the race? Piastri 6th. Again, Piastri looking very average, I think, after his really awesome qualifying. I think McLaren have come out in the news and have suggested that these updates that they've had may have introduced some bizarre handling traits to their car. Tsunoda, absolutely fantastic in 8th. Hamilton, one of his most disappointing races of the season, I think, in terms of performance, only 9th. He had the pace, sort of. He had that incident with Ocon where he ran into him after Ocon locked up in the Norris-Perez chicane. But after that, he was okay, but I really thought he'd end up getting Alonso. Now, let's talk about Alonso. He didn't get a penalty, but I think he didn't brake test him by slamming on the brakes, but I felt what Alonso did when, I think with Lewis coming out of the pits, well, they were very close. They had passed the pit exit, going into that further corner where Verstappen passed Lewis for the 2021 title. They were there, and Alonso just took his foot off the throttle way before the corner, way before you'd normally expect it to, and Lewis almost had to take, avoiding action, let's say. And I think if that's the case, that's really naughty of Alonso, unbecoming of a two-time champion. If it's the case, you have to wonder. I mean, Hamilton's been living rent-free in Alonso's head for years anyway, ever since the 2007 championship, where Lewis did beat him based on countback, even though they finished on the same point, but he's had a problem with him ever since. It's gonna, I'm sure both of them will write books about it when they retire, and it'll be really, really interesting reading to see the two different views of what went down that season. But I digress. Stroll in 10th, yeah, okay, average, yeah, what on Stroll? Hello, Ricciardo in 11th. Sad to see him, but really outshone by Tsunoda here. Next year, he has no excuses, hit the ground running. It's either beating Tsunoda or out. I think only one of them is going to survive towards the end of the 24 season. It's going to be interesting to see. Ocon in 12th, Gasly in 13th. They weren't going too bad, but yeah, Alpine, A for average, let's say. Hulkenberg 15th, going backwards. Once again, I think that's, ultimately, they can't. The story of Haas is they qualify well, they can't keep those tyres alive at all. Sargent in 16th, Zhou in 17th, Sainz in 18th, and then we've got Bottas and Magnussen a lap down. So, I mean, not good at all, is it? Not good at all. Just very average, the whole thing. It's just not good at all for Ferrari. I feel really sorry for them. Did they bottle it? Did Ferrari lose? And I mean, even with Sainz, I think they completely gave Sainz the wrong strategy anyway. I can't help feel that Ferrari left an open goal there, really, for Mercedes to beat them in the Constructors' Championship. Let's look at this is the Drivers' Championship. Obviously, first, second, and third pretty much secure. Alonso ends up finishing 4th, Leclerc 5th, Norris 6th, and the only non-Red Bull winner down in 7th is Carlos Sainz. Russell finishing 8th. Disappointing, I think, for Russell there overall. We'll do our review show anyway and get a bit more in depth with each driver. Piastri 9th. I mean, he did finish 100, and everyone compared him to Lewis Hamilton, didn't they? Best season since Lewis Hamilton. Yes, I think he is, but he still finished over 100 points behind his teammate Norris. Definitely outshone by Norris most of the season, but he did have that sprint race victory in Qatar. He did have flashes of awesomeness, and also when they upgraded the car, he was brilliant in Silverstone, wasn't he? So Lance Stroll finishing 10th, but bear in mind he's on 74 points, Alonso's on 206. Yeah, oh dear, Lance. Gasly in 11th, Ocon in 12th. Those two are really close to each other, just finishing 4 points within it. Albon 13th, Tsunoda in 14th. Really, really good top quality score today for Tsunoda. Bottas in 15th. I think he did quite well, really. He had good moments, Bottas. Hulkenberg 16th. Ricciardo in 17th, scoring 6 points. Not bad at all. Zhou 18th. Magnussen 19th. Lawson scored points in 20th. Sargent 21st. Nick de Vries, sadly, the only man beaten even by Logan Sargent in the 0 points in 22nd, and obviously ousted at AlphaTauri. Logan Sargent, though, getting that sole point for Williams. Yeah, he's also the only one that hasn't had that Williams seat. It's the only seat that has not been confirmed at all. So, yeah, interesting. But let's get into the teams. So, constructors, Red Bull obviously won it, nearly double, over double points of everyone else. Mercedes just pipping Ferrari to that post on 409, Ferrari on 406. You have to wonder, I still think that Ferrari today, I mean, both the cars were really, really similar on pace. I can't help but feel with that horrible strategy from Sainz in the end that Ferrari may have opened the door for Mercedes to beat them, but it was close, and it kept chopping and changing throughout the race, didn't it? McLaren in 4th on 302, beating Aston Martin, who had finished 5th on 280. I mean, Aston Martin were the second fastest team. They were solidly in 2nd at the beginning of the year. Shows how much can change. Alpine in 6th, Williams in 7th, maintained despite Tsunoda's talents and fantastic race. Williams finishing 7th. They deserved that 7th, didn't they? I mean, congratulations to Williams. AlphaTauri in 8th, and then 9th is Alfa Romeo Ferrari. And last but not least is the Haas team. So this has been our Abu Dhabi Grand Prix review. We will be back. We've probably got a driver's tier list, possibly tomorrow. We'll be talking about the Abu Dhabi fallout, no doubt, as well. And we'll be getting into the off-season, all sorts of things like our top 10 drivers, top 10 teams, etc. Maybe a tier list or two as well. But this has been the Hot Lap. Stay with us as we count down the news coming out of Abu Dhabi, and we will be counting towards the end of the year and the beginning of next season. We'll be with you all the way. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscribes. Let's get that up there. I really appreciate it. Speak to you soon.